Mickey 17 has finally dropped in theaters, so let's talk about my thoughts on the film. So, Mickey 17 is Bong Joon-ho's newest film, and he did Parasite back in 2019, and it won Best Picture. So there was a lot of anticipation with this film coming out. However, it was delayed a couple of times, so some people were skeptical, but I myself was on that anticipated list. If you go to my most anticipated year video, you can notice that I put this movie at number 8 on the list. So I was super excited to see this film. So did it live up to my expectations? Did it kind of lose me in the second half? I'll let you know what I thought about the movie just in a sec before I give you a quick synopsis on what the movie actually was. So, Mickey 17 is a story about a guy named Mickey who has to be signed up to be an expendable to escape his past. We've seen kind of this synopsis before. However, the expendables is when he dies, he gets printed back out again to go and do another mission. And so these missions are just kind of him being a test dummy to see if these places that they're gonna live work out, or if they can fix something, or it's more of just a test experiment. And so he has to live his life and just be a test dummy for this corporation. And what essentially ends up happening is that ends up being 2 of him. Now, I'm not gonna go into details on what that is, but it does cause a lot of chaos. And so Mickey is not 17 anymore. He's now has the 18th version of him. And so it gets really crazy. You'll have to watch it for yourself. But before you get there, I want to tell you about the good of this film. Starting with the good, I think Robert Pattinson did a really good job giving each number or each version of himself a different personality. Now, there is some logical errors in this, but he does a good job differentiating the 2 different Mickeys that we see, just so that we as the audience know what is happening and who is each character. And I think he did a really good job pulling that off, as well as like the comedic voice. It just shows how wide of a range of acting he has, especially because he's done films like Twilight, then he's done Batman, and then he's also done this film, and he just shows that he has a wide range of acting. And then also him in Tenet is crazy as well. So he's very talented, and most of his talents are on display here. And I really did enjoy how he was interacting with himself as well as the other cast and those character dynamics. Those were a positive for me. Another thing of the positive for me was actually the character development along with the Mickey character, and then also just the other side characters. They did a really good job portraying their role. However, there is a negative with that you have to stay tuned for. And then the set design was also something really unique. I did like the ice planet that they end up landing on, and it reminded me of Hoth, so it wasn't very creative to me because it was just kind of barren. But the ship design and everything, it seemed right, and the vibe of the whole movie seemed right for this fit and for this film. So I really did enjoy that. The dialogue was also super nice and super important, and it conveyed a lot of different emotions and themes and tried to teach us a lesson along the way. However, again, there are some negatives with that we'll talk about in the mix section. So let's actually head over to the mix section. Okay, heading on into the mix section, one of these mixed things that I actually ended up thinking about after the film was actually the comedic satire. Now, there's a lot of good things with this. They had a lot of funny jokes about the government, as well as some other side things. But one thing that I was kind of negative on, and not many of you will be, but I am Christian, and this had a lot of jokes about religious beliefs. And I think they didn't use that or execute that properly. And then there was also just, it was not as thought out as it should have been. There was some aspects of this that they were just trying to poke the bear, and it felt like to me that these ideas were just kind of thrown in there to be thrown in there and not actually thought out through. Like the religious themes of this, they kind of just poke the bear and then they don't talk about it again, but it's there. And so that kind of threw me off. If you're not religious, this probably won't bother you one bit, and so you actually probably like the comedic satire. But for me, that was kind of a punch to the gut during this film. And I feel like the comedic satire, of course, the job is to point out people's beliefs and not ridicule them, but use jokes to just show how funny people's ideals and beliefs are. And I think it does a great job of that. That's what this movie's supposed to do. However, for me, the religious part of it just fell flat for me, unfortunately. So that was really it for me on the mix section. There was a bunch of like jokes that were really funny, and I completely appreciate the comedic satire, but when it's trying to put down certain groups, I don't love that aspect of the film, because I feel like they're just intentionally trying to get a rise out of the audience. However, I do understand that some people are actually going into the movie for this, and if that is, then this is your type of film. So, moving on to the bad, the one thing for me in this film that I didn't truly think was thought through well was actually the whole main idea of this movie and how it was not focused at all. So what I mean by that is saying that they are tackling a lot of different subjects. Like I've already said, the religion and politics, they've also talked about just expanding into uncharted territory where there might be people already living there. There might be talks about other political beliefs about, is it okay to duplicate someone or a person just because they're good? There's a lot of things in this movie that they talk about and that they kind of address. However, not everything for this film worked for me with that, because there's just so much going on that you really can't focus on one main idea that they're trying to let you focus on. So I think they should have picked one example. So like if they wanted to talk about religion, maybe that is the main focus, but no, instead what they did is they split it across politics, religion, and other things. And so there was just too much to balance and too much points this movie was trying to make, or main ideas that they were trying to put into your brain and make you think about things, which is, I always like when movies make you think about things. However, when there's just too much, you can't narrow in on a single idea, meaning that the movie is kind of spread things on most of what they're trying to talk about. So that was one bad thing about this film. Another bad thing about this film for me personally is I did say the side characters gave great performances, and I will not take that back. I think they really did. However, they would introduce a character in the story like a girl named Kai, and she would be part of Mickey's life for maybe about 15 minutes, and you'd think that it was going to go somewhere, and it just didn't. She disappeared for the rest of the half of the film, which was kind of disappointing to me. Steven Yeun was kind of underutilized. He was supposed to be the main character's main best friend until he just switched over to this planet, and they use him in a different way, and I think that he just was not on, or he was not used the way that he should have been this whole time. And so unfortunately that was a sad thing for me. So a lot of these side characters, I felt like they were just kind of thrown in there, and then we didn't get to really explore who they are or what they wanted, what their main goals were. They were just kind of there to fill out the cast, unfortunately. Now, the last thing I really wanted to talk about was actually something really nitpicky. There is a complete different personality from Mickey 17 and Mickey 18. Mickey 17 is more of a calm and chill guy. Mickey 18 is a very much more aggressive version of Mickey. And I get that when you meet another version of yourself, you might act differently when you're talking to someone. I've never had to talk to myself like this before, so I might act differently. However, one's just very aggressive and very murderous, and then one's super calm. So it just, logically, I don't think that's how we would interact with each other. Like, I don't think if there's another version of me that he would be trying to kill me, but I don't know. Like, the whole logic of that just didn't make sense to me. But I think there are some really good aspects of the film and how they use these characters. I just think logically that just doesn't make complete sense, but maybe I missed something with that. So I'm open to hear some discussion about that. Real quick, before we move on to the final scorecard that I actually have for you guys, if you liked this video or this review, there's a lot more I have. I'm trying to crank out more content for you guys. I'm actually going to do another movie news video after this for this week, so make sure you're subscribed for that to stay up to date. There's a lot going on, and I'm trying to get as much out to you guys as I can. I just have life, and it is my birthday this week, so there's a lot going on. But I do want to get more stuff out to you guys as I can. So please like and subscribe, and then follow me on any of these social medias around here. We'll have a lot of fun talking about movies. All right, starting with the plot of this film, I'm actually going to give it an 8. There was a lot of interesting things about this movie, and I was really intrigued on how the story would go. However, it's just nothing amazing, and it was spread thin on some points, and I wish that they would have focused on one or two ideals instead of focusing on 6 different ideals. But that was something I noticed. The dialogue of this film, I actually really did enjoy. Even though I did not like the religion putting down all of that ideal, I did really enjoy the dialogue because it was very thought-provoking and the jokes were delivered really well. So I give the dialogue an actual 9 because I was super enthralled with the dialogue. For the action, I'm actually going to give it a 6. For a guy that dies quite a bit, you think that there would be more action or more action sequences, and realistically, there is not a lot of that here. There is more just comedic thoughts and jokes coming at you, and then there are some interesting things going on around you, but like for actual fight scenes, there's not many going around, which is kind of sad to me, so I gave it a 6. For the suspense, I actually also gave this a 6, just because there are some plot points where there is, I don't want to say animal cruelty, but alien cruelty, and that'll get you out of your seat wondering what's going to happen to that little alien. And I was really liking about how this story is playing out and if it would happen the way that we think it was. So I had a little bit of suspense in this film, and so that's why I gave it a 6. Based off its previous work, I'm gonna take Parasite and Snowpiercer, and I liked those movies more than this one, unfortunately, so I'm gonna give this a 6 as well. This one's not bad. I like Snowpiercer and I like Parasite better. So with the final rankings, for the casual fan, I'm actually gonna give this an 8 out of 10. For the family, I'm actually going to give it a 0 out of 10 because you should not be seeing this film. There is some sexual scenes and that you just will not want to show your children. So unfortunately, 0 out of 10 for you. I would not recommend this for a family at all. Genre fans, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. If you like this sci-fi epic and you like these comedic satires, you'll like this one. I think this one's a solid addition. I just think that they should have focused on 1 or 2 main ideas and not the 5 or 6 that they chose. For a film buff, I think that this movie is a really good one. I would give it a 7 out of 10 as well. I personally would give it a 7 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10 at the least. I think that this movie was well done. I just think that there were some things that could have been worked on or maybe taken a little bit of time or just even narrowing again down all of the things that happened in this film or all of the main plot points that they wanted us to take from the film itself. And then for the critic, I'm also giving it a 6 out of 10. I see a lot of critics online saying that this movie wasn't great, but they enjoyed it, and I would agree, we're kind of right there as well. However, they were more harsh than I was on the different ideas and focusing on all the aspects that everyone kind of sees across the movie. So here is the next slide. This one's actually going to be, should you skip, stream, or run to the theaters? And so for the first one, I'm going to say casual fans can actually stream this one. If you're really wanting to watch this one, you can run out to the theaters. Of course you can, but for the most part, I would just say stream it. It's nothing too crazy for you guys. For families, I would say skip. You guys should not be watching this as a family. If you're a casual fan and you want to watch this by yourself, go for it. But as a family, this is just a no-go. For genre fans, I think that you should go to this movie because there's a lot of good things that do come from this film, as well as for film buffs. I think film buffs should definitely go and see this movie. I think there's a lot to be heard and said here. However, I wish it was, again, just more focused on what it was trying to say. And then for the critic, I think that they are already going to see it, so I think they should run. However, if you're a critic and you haven't watched it, I would say stream it. So those are my quick thoughts on Mickey 17. I'm sorry that they weren't more thought out, but those are just the things I noticed. I appreciate you guys watching this video. These are a lot of fun for me. I'm actually getting an early screening for a movie that I've been also really wanting to see this Saturday. So I'm super excited to see this movie coming out, and I'll have my review up and ready when the embargoes lift. Again, thank you guys for watching all of these videos. I really appreciate you guys putting the time into me and actually wanting to hear my thoughts. If you liked this video, go ahead and subscribe, and then I'm also going to be posting another video very soon over movie news that is coming out. So stay tuned for that, and I can't wait to talk more movies with you guys. Stay safe out there.